Are all the students enjoying the free drinks tonight? Fairly good way to start the evening, I think, Friday night. I'm not gonna lie, my favorite thing about these events is that I get to come dressed up, because as a postgraduate student, I don't have to wear a tie to work every day, which is a fantastic experience for anyone who's spent some time in the workforce. So excuse me if I've overdone it a little bit tonight. Now, I'm a fifth year student, I'm a master's student, and it's my second year at the University of Auckland Business School. I actually graduated from Massey University a couple of years ago and decided to come to Auckland, not just for a change, but also for the increased challenges and a few more opportunities to come my way as well. Now, when I was given this gig, I was basically told there are 5 things that I should probably talk about, and one of those things was the research I did. But you see, the first lesson that I learned when I got to postgraduate studies was that you should generally avoid talking about exactly what it is that you research on, other than with those people that you spend time with. So people would normally come up to me and say, well, what do you study, Angus? Tell me about your master's thesis. Me? I look at leadership perspective, drawing on the sociology of culture by giving attention towards elevating leadership as a strategic and moral imperative which tempers the predominance of socio-psychological accounts of leadership and raises questions about the links between culture, consciousness, and social structure. That sounds interesting. I know. But pretty soon I realized that everyone thought that my work sounded interesting. And it's quite reminiscent of when my mother used to found my healthy prepubescent interest in transforming robots interesting as well. But as with all things worth doing, you generally get a lot more than you bargained for. And your postgraduate experience is going to be no exception to that. The thesis that you actually study, as has been pointed out, is going to be an exceptionally small part of the overall learning experience. It certainly has been for me. Now, the first lesson I got after figuring out that people didn't actually want to hear about the details of organizational discourse surrounding culture construction and mergers and acquisition was that I didn't work anywhere near hard enough during my undergraduate experience. So does anyone here remember what it was like in your first year of university when you looked back at your high school days and you're like, 9 to 3? I could have been doing so much more. What was I doing with all my time? I've got some bad news for you all. It pretty much feels exactly the same when you get the postgraduate experience. And I look back at what I was doing during my undergrad years and went, wow, I really could have been making a lot more of that. Because for a second, I want everyone to think about the intellectual transformation that has been the last 3 to 4 years, well, for the students anyway. And I want you to realize that that intellectual transformation is really just the first step in a long way, and that this next 1 year, let alone the next 3, you'll see just as large a change in the way you observe the world and the way you make sense of things around you. So you're just on the first step. One of my heroes said that we should all try to look for smart people and hard problems. Now, these smart people tend to always clump together. So when you find one of these clumps, it's usually a good idea to join it. And postgraduate experience has definitely been one of those clumps for me. The second part of his advice is that we should all try and find hard problems, because they're generally the ones worth working on and the ones that draw the most satisfaction. Now, reading research is easy, writing research is hard. So it's generally pretty easy to see which one of these is going to be the more worthwhile for you over the long term. The final thought I'd like to leave all the undergraduate students here tonight is that someone has picked you to be here. There's a person in your faculty who thinks that you are better than you think you are. Now, that person's probably a lot smarter than you are, so I'm going to take their word on it, and you should too. Because there are so few people in this world today that are willing to challenge the way things are done, to break new ground, make a difference, and do something a little less conventional. So I don't want you to take postgraduate studies because you don't know what you want to do with your life, though that may be the case as well. And whether you're an idealist who wants to change the world, or a pragmatist who just wants to be a bit better at what he does, or if he does have a crazy intellectual itch that needs to be scratched, consider joining me for postgraduate studies next year, and I promise you won't forget it. Professor Costa.